very expensive Christmas present that was a dragon. But I knew I had to do it, but I was terrified at the same exact time. And we get to my Aunt Karen's house, and my mom goes, "Karen, Casey needs to tell you something." So my Aunt Karen pulls me aside into their bedroom. One of the reasons why I did not want to tell my Aunt Karen this is because I was afraid she was going to hate me afterwards. That as a little kid, I was afraid I was going to get yelled at, and I was always going to be seen as the niece that broke her Christmas present. And so I did not want to tell her. And so we got into the bedroom, and she goes, "Okay, what do you have to tell me?" And I start sobbing, like completely sobbing, telling her that what I did, and it was an accident, I didn't mean to, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And what happened was, it surprised me, because she didn't yell at me at all. What happened was she looked at me, she smiled, and then she immediately came over, put her arms around me, and started rocking me back and forth, saying, "It's okay. It's okay. There's nothing to forgive. It's okay." I was so surprised. Because even though I did something horrible, she still loved me. And she forgave me. And it was so good, because I didn't expect that. I expected to be yelled at. But I got the exact opposite. So today, I want to talk about a story that I'm sure you guys have all heard, or most of you have heard, but it's the parable of the lost son. Okay. So we're going to break it down into pieces. Okay, so it goes on from Luke chapter 15, verse 11 is where it starts. And it says, Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them." I can't understand that for some reason. Like, I wish I knew what the father was thinking at that point in time. Because in that time, what he was really saying was, "I can't wait for you to die, so give me my inheritance." And if a kid was to ask that to his father at that point in time, the father had the right to kill the son for asking it. And so I was trying to think in my own mind what that would be like if I asked my dad that. And I was remembering when I was younger, all my friends got allowances for doing chores. And so I would ask my dad every now and then for allowance. And his exact response was, "You have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and you get fed. You should pay me to live here." And so I really wish I could understand what the dad was thinking. Because even though the son asked him that, he still gave him the money.
That's good.
And so what happens after that is the son leaves. And he sets off to a distant country. And he wastes everything. All the money that he got from the dad, he wastes. And then a famine comes on. And he doesn't have anything to do because he wasted everything that was given to him. And so he ends up being hired in order to feed pigs. And he longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. So here was a kid who had it all in his family. And then he leaves and he ruins everything and he spends all his money and he falls from this wealthy family to working with pigs and feeding pigs, and he's at his lowest point at that point. And it says when he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired men have food to spare? And here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men.' So he got up and he went to his father." A kid had no right to think that. The father at that point had the right to disown the kid. And so in order for him to say that was a big deal, because if he was to come back, his father had the right to kill him for that kind of stuff. But he goes, "Okay, maybe I can work out as a slave." And so he tries that, and so he heads back home. And the best part of the story happens. It says, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The father had been looking for his son, waiting for his son to come home in order to see him from a far horizon, and then he ran. He didn't wait for the son to get to the door. He burst out the door and ran and met his son, and then he kissed him because he missed him. And he loved his son.